What's up, y'all? This is just gonna be a chill stream. I'm just gonna work on a side project and probably just chat with people if people have questions and stuff. What's up, Ayush from India? No, I haven't tried Dino yet. Have not tried it. All right, let me collect myself. What am I trying to do here? So this side project. My wife's trying to get into like writing a little bit, and so I want to make like a little side project where she can go and create a book, maybe add some chapters, edit the chapters, publish them and stuff. But yeah, it's just another thing, another learning experience. Tell me, what is your tech stack? I use Next.js in all of my content. Sometimes I use Convex for my backend as a service. Sometimes I just use the things that are built in the Next.js. This project is using ShadCN with Next.js and server actions and a bunch of other stuff. So what am I trying to do though? I wanted to add the ability for deleting a book. So I think, I don't know if this is the best place to put it. No, right now this project is not open source. I need to make a list of what I'm trying to do. Actually, let me use another side project I'm working on, which is Project Planner AI. So we need to add the ability for deleting a book. That's what we're going to work on. So, also I have like Dev Finder. Where's Dev Finder? Why does it still say Dev Finder in the top? There we go. You try to learn a full separate backend. Whatever that question is. Did you continue with the personal adventures with Go? You know, I scratched that itch and I moved back to what I'm good with and what I know and what my content's mainly around. So I might revisit Go in a bit. What's up, Matthew? How will be the infra? I don't know. I'm just trying to code the app right now. So I'm trying to do deleting a book. And so if we go to here, what's on my Stripe here? Do I have anything special here? I was trying to add like a settings page. On the setting page, I want to have a delete project section. So if I go over here, we have some tabs, and this has some settings. So I could potentially add a settings section here. Go ahead and paste that right in there. And we'll pretend that we have a settings panel. How about that? And we'll figure this out. Go over here, export function settings panel. And that's going to return hello world for right now. Let's go over here and import that. And go back to our app. Make sure hello world shows up, which for some reason it's not. Why is that not showing up? Did I import this? Settings. Sometimes Next.js, like, I don't know if it's the caching. Yo, am I crazy? Sometimes you gotta restart Next.js. Change value of tabs trigger chapters. Ah, there you go. Thank you. See, people in chat are always smarter than me. Wait, is that not it? Settings. Settings. If I click on this trigger, it should go and open up this content panel. Why is that not working still? Okay, there we go. Thank you, Peter. And I might as well just go ahead and add like a book panel here. This could be, you know what, let's just focus on the settings. So here, let's see if we can add a button for deleting the book. I'll go ahead and auto import this. Make sure it shows up. There we go. Probably want to give it a variant of destructive. There you go. But I like to have a modal pop up, and ShadCN, it has a dialog. I might use the alert dialog because this is what it looks like. Are you absolutely sure? I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and install it if we don't already have it. What happened to Golang? My ADHD kicked in. I went back to focusing on what I should probably focus on, which is Next.js, because that is what my content is mainly centered around. But I do like Go. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I could be paid the right Go full time. Pretty cool. Book ID. Just add some components in here. I will name a component delete book dialog CSX. No, actually, I'm gonna call it delete book button, and we'll say export function delete book button, and we'll paste in those imports there. Copy this stuff over. This is copy paste programming at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. But what we want to do here is I think we can just put this button here. I always forget where I need to add as child. What strategies do you use to brainstorm unique app concepts? Honestly, I just think about things that I think I would use or someone else would use, and that's it. And then just every app has like the same generic things that you're going to need with it, like creating resources, deleting resources, updating resources. And sometimes you throw in some special stuff like that tutorial I did with the like Dev Finder. I just thought it'd be cool to like be able to find other people to pair program with, and also a sponsor reach out for that video. So it kind of like steered the direction of what I need to build, because I need to be able to do screen sharing. That's how that concept came about. All right, anyway, I got this delete book button, and I'm gonna go back to that settings panel. Now let's use that instead. Make sure we auto import that. Okay, let's just change the wording a little bit on this. Is it just me, or is this text so small? I think my eyes are just getting worse. Are you absolutely sure? Are you sure you want to delete your book? That's too verbose. I'll just say, are you sure? Deleting your book means you will not be able to recover your data in the future. And then we'll probably make this one a button. Go ahead and move that over. Variant could be destructive. Okay, I'll go ahead and say delete. Throw an as child on there. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Is this already a button? No. Well, that one's interesting. Alert dialog action button variant destructive delete. I know there's a special way. I've done this before. I thought you had to add as child here, but when you do that, it seems to don't wrap it in an alert dialog action. What's the point of the alert dialog action? It probably does some type of behavior behind the scenes to auto close the modal. And let me look that up. I mean, they're just using radix behind the scenes, so like as child. Don't use button, just text. You know, that's actually a good idea. Let's try that. Let's undo. And so don't add the button. And they're saying I could just add a class name to this. And I could do button variants, I believe, and call it. Is that what you're trying to say? And then I can just give this a, I think it's what, destructive? I totally forget how to do this. Button variants. Oh, I think I need to do like dot. Hold on. I can figure this out. I can figure this out, guys. There we go. All right. So that's kind of like, I guess, what you could do as well if you just want to style using the same button stuff. But I think I would rather also, inside the, got the footer here, I got the header here, is there a body? Do they have like alert body? Content? Let's try this out. What is content? Oh, it's already in content here. Yeah, you guys can just correct me if I'm doing something wrong, but I want to put an input here, so I'm going to go ahead and probably bring in an input like this with a label. I want to bring in these form hooks. Might do that. Let's try this. Action is focused by default when you open the dialog. Okay. That's probably not a good thing, right? Well, I guess it doesn't matter because I'm going to add an input where someone has to type in a certain value in order to delete this thing. Let's see how far we can take this. No, I'm not really interested in blockchain, although I wish I invested in it years ago because I wouldn't be wasting my time coding and trying to make money. Do I want to wrap this in a form? I can just grab, just copy paste code from everywhere else because that's the way. Let's go here, get the schema. Where's book schema? Go back at that here. This will just be called delete schema. I'll say confirm will be the name. Bring that in. We don't really need a schema here, but I mean, it is going to be required. Actually, I could probably just, can I make this match something? How do you do like, make sure confirm matches the string? Please delete. Okay, Copilot, let's see if this works. The problem is that there's not really a submission on this form. Do I even want a form here? Am I making this too complicated? I feel like I am. Let me just import some of this stuff. The button action tape submit. Z literal. Maybe not make it capital P because that'll probably confuse. So, should I give it a message? Probably. Okay, I guess you can't do that. Oh, but then you can't default it as that? Okay, I'm gonna go. Let's just roll with that. Now the issue is that this form and this button, for this to do the default submit, I feel like I have to like pull this form out. This is probably not the way to do this. Whatever. This, and then where did I do that? The content? That was inside the content. I'll just wrap this whole thing. Okay, I don't need the whole thing. Let me just do this. I'll get to it, guys. I'll get this going. My brain's not working too fast today. Let's just make sure this prints out. If values dot. Well, technically the confirmation, like Zod, if we trust Zod, it should validate. And then like we know the user typed in the correct confirm statement to delete. So we should probably just like call a delete book action. But let's just make sure this works, because I feel like we just hacked something together. Let's delete that. I don't think we need a div here anymore. Do we? "404 not found." Let's go. Delete. Confirm. Beautiful. Does not work. Yeah, the extension is called, I think it's called to do highlight. Yeah, to do highlight right here. Maybe I can do type submit, then that will kick off. Okay, that kind of worked. But the issue is that now this thing is just closing even after submitting. Almost like I don't even want to do this. Like I want to overwrite the default action. Is that how you do it, maybe? Let me try this. There's no way this is the right way to do this. Yeah. Because it's a dialog close on the declaration. I could ditch it and just use a button. I feel like at this point we might as well. You need to take control over the open state of alert dialog. Create your own open state. But I feel like at this point, like, why are we even using this? Like, why not just use a button? And then more importantly, I have a loader button. But I didn't get variants to that, so that's not going to work. I'll come back and actually fix this, but for right now, I'm going to make this terrible. How do I type this? I need to go to button and find variant. And props type of button. I feel like making this so complicated. Should I just use PHP? Button props. Button props variant. I mean, I should probably find a way to like take the actual properties and like merge them into my own. And I've done that before multiple times. It's just like one of those things that you forget how to do it. And then on a live stream with all you guys judging me, it's just, it makes it so much harder, you know? So type a submit. And this is wrapped in a form. The form should prevent the default, shouldn't it? Oh, I'm not even using the submit. That's probably why. I forget where I used to have that. Wasn't it here? It was like on submit. Copilot, give me what I want. Nice. Okay. That's all I wanted. And now yeah, I just need to like say const is open. Go ahead and do this whole thing is open. Do that for right now. You know, I bet you people who don't know React and Next like look at this code and they're like, dude, why is there so much code to make a single input and a single submit button? Like, what's going on here? Probably reset the form. So form.reset. Now the beauty of Next.js is to make an action. Computer's lagging up now. Let's go here. I'll make an action. Export async function delete book action. That'll probably take in like a book ID, which is a string. And then that needs to do something, which we'll figure out in a second. But and then what I was doing is actually pulling in like hand stack query to wrap my mutations. So like delete book mutation is equal to use mutation. And you guys can tell me if this is stupid to do as well. But I'm basically wrapping the action in a mutation. And I'm calling it this needs to take in a book ID, which I don't think I have. So I need to pass in a book ID. When this thing is finally done, reset the form, and then we could probably close this. So instead of doing it here, I'll just do it there. And then the reason I'm doing this might be a dumb reason to do this, is because I can use this mutation and Tanstack query is going to have an is pending on it already. So like down here for my loader button, I can say is loading. What do I call this? Something delete book mutation is pending. Bro. Every time I look at a React code, I'm like, this is over engineering at its finest. But then I try using like server actions and form actions. The TypeScript ends up becoming terrible, and I go back to doing what I'm doing right now. I think this is working now. But now we got to implement the action. And then the action probably has to redirect to a new page. So what do we need to do here? I need to basically delete the book using the book ID. But before that, verify the user who is trying to delete the book owns the book, which might be, we might be able to do that inside the persistence. Yeah, I've tried using use form state and use form status, and it's like you end up having to like do all this weird stuff with your code. It just feels gross. I don't know. Like I'm trying to accept like the server-side rendering form action stuff, but it's just every time I use it, I revert back to my old ways of just put everything in a client component because I get more flexibility using that. I don't know, maybe I just haven't drank in the Kool-Aid enough. But like when I have to deal with form data, like untype safe form data, it just feels kind of gross. But again, you can just use Zod to parse it, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. Is pending start. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that just yet. What am I doing? I'm trying to find, okay, so the way I have like my code kind of set up is I have use cases here. I'm trying to do like a clean architecture type of approach to this, but delete book action. In order to delete a book, you need to make sure that you own the book. So I'm going to first get the book. Do I have a method called getBookById? I do. So I'm using my persistence data access method to get the book. And I'm going to say if the book dot user ID is not equal. Oh, wait a second. First of all, if there is no book, just throw an error. And then if the book user ID does not match the current user who's trying to delete the book, which I will have to pass that in probably. I'm going to rethink what I'm doing here in a second, but And finally, we could just delete the book. So let's go for the data access. I'm going to say export async function and delete book ID. Let's see if Copilot can do this right. Database delete books where. Yo, I can't wait for AI to get better. Like, the suggestions always suck. And I always forget drizzle. Let me just start over. Database, delete. Does this take in a method? It takes in books. Where? And I could say EQ, I think. Books.id. Book ID. Is that how you do it? Oh. All right, so the action, first of all, I need to make sure I have the user who's logged in. So I can say await get SSR session. That's a custom method I added, which just gets the next auth session basically. And then if there's no user, we'll throw an error. And then we can call that. And when this action runs, I can either redirect inside the action itself, but what I've been doing is just letting the action finish running, and then I do the redirection from the front end. And you all can tell me if that's a bad idea or not. But I basically say, bring in the router. And then finally, router.push. We will go. Actually, no, I don't want to, that doesn't need to be in finally. That needs to be in a then. All right, my computer's lagging a little bit. And I'm going to go back to the collection page. I'm not even using values here, so I can delete that. Should we test it out? Settings panel, delete book button. Why is this not, book ID is missing. So for book ID, settings panel, guess I could pass it in as well. Just prop drill this everywhere. I don't think this is a Next.js issue. This is just React, bro. Like this, if you're using Vite with a single page application, this is exactly how you'd be writing it. Like, what is this? Like all hieroglyphics. Like, I can't even, if you're tired and you try reading through all this stuff, you're like, dude, what's going on here? But I can't tell if I'm just so used to it that it's like, okay, it's not the big of a deal. You're importing a component that needs server only. Okay, now this is a Next.js issue, and yes, Next.js is so bad. Why is this complaining? I think it's because I forgot to put use server at the top of a file, and this is why Next.js. Maybe people who use Next.js are just masochists. They enjoy torturing themselves with this use. Oh, what happened? Did it delete? It did, but why did that literally sat there for like 3 seconds? Maybe this is why people redirect from the action. Let's try that. And I also forget, when do you need to use transition stuff? That's when you're actually doing like a revalidate path, which I might need to do. So revalidate path on collection, which means now let's go and get rid of the router. But the mutation, let's just try this out and see what it looks like. Because now the action should just force us back, and the modal should just, like, the whole page should just, like, yeah, that worked a little bit better, I think. The problem with the redirect and server action is that it triggers an additional render plus queries. Already waiting to be fixed. Do not have any problems with the client-side redirect. Yeah, I mean, I think the client-side redirect worked fine. And I like it how my action doesn't know about where it needs to, like, redirect to. Because then I can use this action from any other page. But the moment you start adding, like, hard-coded redirect logic, the action is no longer, like, generic. At the very least, I do need to revalidate the path. But then if you read the Next.js docs, they talk about a use transition. And if you call revalidate path, they recommend that you wrap your action in like a use transition or something. So like, is this it? Like, do I need to do this crap? And then like, I actually would call this stuff. This is gross. But I'm pretty sure this is what their docs recommend. Let me go to the Next.js docs real quick. To improve the user experience, we recommend using other React APIs like Use Optimistic and Use Transition to update the UI before the server action finishes executing on the server, or to show a pending state. And of course, there's no documentation. You have to go to the React docs and read through all this to understand what the heck this even means. And you read through these cute little examples. You think you understand it, but then after you finish reading through it, you realize you didn't understand anything you just read. And so you skip using it in your application because it's just too confusing. If you use transition, you skip use mutation from React query. You skip use mutation from React. Oh, I see what you're saying, because that's going to give me the pending state. Yeah, I don't need it. Whatever. As long as it looks nice when I'm clicking through the UI, I think it's fine, right? Well, I think revalidating the path on collection might be enough because the page I'm already on is collection slash an ID. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you revalidate like a higher level path, doesn't it revalidate everything? Like it clears the cache for everything? This modal I need to actually improve a little bit. It just doesn't explain. Please type. Please delete to confirm. I should make that bold. I don't know what they recommend these days. Is it like strong instead of bold? Yeah, one probably even blows away that style, so it won't matter. Oh no, that's strike through. I think strong is like better for accessibility or something. Oh, my computer's lagging. I need a better streaming computer. Maybe I'll put a placeholder there. Input. Placeholder, please. How do other apps do it? Do they have a placeholder? Anyway, that one's done. Go ahead and update that on my projectplannerai.com side project. One of 100 side projects that I'm working on. Actually, that one's like the one I've gotten the furthest with, so I'll give it credit. All these other things, though. I'll go ahead and commit and say adding the ability to delete book on the collection page while after showing a confirmation dialog. I don't remember placeholders on those critical actions. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an app. Let me check Railway. That's where I have my stuff deployed. So like, I'm guessing if I go to settings, go to the very bottom. Okay, let me not try that on there. I'm gonna go to here. This is another side project I haven't been working on. If I click it, oh, it just straight up, it's gonna delete it. Can I undo that? What's an app I've used where they have a delete confirmation? I know I've used one. What's up, Twitch? What am I working on? I'm just wasting time with Next.js. I'm a backend dev which wants to start on the front end, but it feels like there are 5,000 opinions on frameworks. React is always changing, so you don't know what is new and best practice at the moment. Do you have advice on how or where to start? Maybe start with a different framework like Svelte instead of Next. Honestly, I don't think it matters. Just pick something and get good at it and just start building something and don't switch. If you're looking for a job, I'd say learn React because I think it has the biggest like pool in terms of like who's hiring. Yeah, that's it. Go back to Go. That's typically what happens. I get so frustrated with like Next.js or React. I end up just learning Go for a little bit, learning Rust. I de-stress with that, and I go back to torturing myself with this stuff. GitHub has it when you try to delete the repo. Oh, okay. Let me try going to GitHub real quick. I have this in GitHub. Add this real quick. GitHub. Okay, the truth of what I'm working on is I'm working on a SaaS starter kit that I'm going to try to sell, because I saw someone on Twitter saying he's made over $300,000 with a starter kit, which blew my mind. So I'm going to make a starter kit and try to market it and see if he's just making that stuff up, or if people actually like buying starter kits. But let's go and delete this repository. Yeah, this isn't asking for confirmation. It's probably going to ask me to like type in something in my phone. Whatever, it's fine. I'll just get rid of the placeholder. Thank you, Tommy Rodriguez. Delete project in Vercel just checked. No placeholders. Yeah, I would say do what Vercel does, because their user experience is pretty based. What IDE am I on? VS Code. VS Resource Deletion uses this platform. Or sorry, pattern. GitHub Vercel. This one's actually just using Next.js. On any like real product, I would probably actually use Convex. But I'm just using Next.js because I'm trying to make like a starter kit, and I don't think people, whenever you mention third-party services, people just get so angry for some reason. Yeah, I'm using NextAuth for this application. Did you use Pocket Base? No, I have never used Pocket Base before. Yeah, I love Convex. It's like, I don't know, it's just so much easier. Your data just updates automatically. Data also uses Compass, has combination, portfolio. Clicking links on a stream. Have you ever considered making online courses for full stack dev? I have one that uses a T3 stack. I do plan to make another course at some point, but I want to make sure that like the stuff I'm teaching is actually like correct. As you saw, I just struggled trying to make like a modal with a confirmation input. I want to make sure like I have that stuff down packed and I know the ways that I like to build applications. I'm still not convinced with the server-side rendering form action, use form state, use form status stuff. I'm trying to, I try it out. Every time I do, I revert back to like my old ways. Let's see, removing placeholder on delete confirmation. All right, what else can we work on? Do I use OBS for screen recording? I do. Where do you get ideas for SaaS products? I've been building e-commerce sites for work. I'm having a hard time getting my mind to switch. Yeah, I mean, just build something. Like, I would say find a client, find a user. That client could be yourself, and build something that solves their problem. And the more people you find that have that same problem, I think the more valuable what you're building would be. But I'm not like I wouldn't call myself like an entrepreneur. I'm a wantrepreneur. I'm trying to build something that people want, but obviously when you just work for other people and like build what they want, it's a different realm. Yeah, Brandon, I'm glad it just feels more natural, like using use whatever it's called, hook form, yeah. Convex is a backend as a service. I've done a couple of sponsored videos on my channel. I'm building a side project that uses Convex. Basically, they take care of all your backend endpoints, your data. They have file storage. Everything that you do automatically updates. Like whenever your data changes, any user who's like subscribed to that data, it automatically just updates on them. So another project that I'm working on, go here. So I'm working on this with another person. When they update data, my dashboard will just automatically update for me. So it's just like live data everywhere. What else am I supposed to be doing on this? Stripe single payment flow, mobile friendly unit testing, playwright testing. Do I actually want to build a starter kit? I feel like I'm just wasting time. Nah, not a solopreneur. I mean, I am trying to be a solopreneur, but I feel like I'm more of like a, isn't it called like a wantrepreneur? Like, you're a wannabe. You haven't actually achieved it yet. Drizzle's an ORM. I think it's pretty nice. I was using Prisma for a while before I used Drizzle. Drizzle feels like it's a little bit lower level in terms of the abstraction. So you're like doing more like raw SQL statements at times. They're both good. The main reason I got off of Prisma is because they had like this weird Rust. Oh no, I do. They have this like weird Rust binary under the hood that's supposed to make stuff faster, but then it makes deploying to a serverless environment so much more complicated. I think they fixed it by now, but I kind of got over it when I was trying to deploy a simple application using Prisma to serverless. Look at the UI. What do we got here? So continue writing. I want to make chapters somehow. So I added, okay, well, let me go back. I need to make this look nicer. And the way that GitHub does it, I go and look at the settings here. I got like a danger zone. So maybe we can kind of copy that. Let's go and find where we have the settings panel. So we're going to say H2 danger zone. Like a div here. Let me look at what it is for danger zone again. Yeah, they got the text, the 2XL, and then they have a div, like a type, class name, border red. Let's do 500. Let's put that in there. And then we'll do, well, let's just do some Copilot. Let's just let that happen. Delete this book. Once you delete the book, there's no going back. Certain. So this could be a flex. And then we could just put this here. And I think if we go back and look at what it looks like in our app, looks bad. Looks pretty bad. Let's delete your book. Why is this text so dark? More in the... All right, so that, I'm going to add a little bit of gap to the flex. So gap of 4. This, what is this thing doing? That, adding a 4 here. Let's see what happens. Not too bad. Let's round it. Go. I might even give this a padding of like 6. And give this a gap of 8. And then between these two things, I know people say don't use margin, but I don't care. I'll just go ahead and margin that of a 4. And yeah. I feel like we should put some space between these things, like underneath the page are we on? The tab list. I think this needs to have some margin at the bottom of it. Maybe not that much. Why is everyone using TypeScript over JavaScript? Because TypeScript is better. I used JavaScript for the longest time. I thought it was so nice to use JavaScript. And then I finally convinced myself after watching a couple of Theo's videos that TypeScript was better, and then I used TypeScript. I fought through the pain of learning it, and then I realized I'm so much more proficient using TypeScript with the IntelliSense and the type hints. And then, yeah, I can't argue for using JavaScript anymore. It's just use a typed language. They're much better. Especially when your team is large. That's when stuff gets really hard. Because you have a ton of code that's changing all the time. And JavaScript makes basically, unless you have JS docs, which is kind of like a crutch in my opinion. Hello from Ireland, what is up? The feeling is part of the developer experience. I kind of wish I just stuck with using TRPC and T3 pages router instead of server actions, but I'm too deep into my project to refactor it. Yeah, I really like the T3 stack. Honestly, I think server actions basically replace the need for TRPC because you can just call your backend endpoints like it was TRPC. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't buy too much into like using form actions and stuff. How much RAM do you have in your MacBook? I think I have 16 gigabytes. It's an M1 Air. How are you doing your styling? I'm using Tailwind CSS. Hey, how did you overcome imposter syndrome starting as a web dev for a big client or company? That's a hard question because everyone has like different ideas of what imposter syndrome is. I don't feel like I ever have had imposter syndrome. I just acknowledge that I sucked. And so when I got hired at my company, like I realized that I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I didn't feel like an imposter because I knew I sucked. Imposter syndrome, usually if you look up the term, it's used for people who've been in the industry for years, like 10, 15 years, and they still feel like they don't deserve the accomplishments that they've been granted. I think people kind of overuse the term imposter syndrome for low confidence and low skill. Sorry if that offends you. Can I ask for your opinion? Yeah, you can ask your opinions. Do you really want to build a file storage so you're a solopreneur? No, I work full time. I'm not a solopreneur. I work full time. I just do stuff on the side for fun. Do you really want to build a file storage? I'm not building a file storage. If you're starting again, how would you go about learning web dev again? What would you start learning first? Yeah, it's a hard question. Probably, I always recommend just like trying to build something large, like build a large scale project and just keep on whittling at it. But personally, me, I'd probably like watch a couple of tutorials. I'd watch, maybe buy one course and go through it and be serious about going through it. And then just start building stuff. That's the way I like to learn. I just like to build stuff. Do you work full time as a full stack front end or back end? Yeah, I'd say full stack, and then also I do DevOps stuff as well. Like I just spent 3 weeks refactoring some Terraform code with a coworker, trying to make our system a little cleaner with all the Terraform code we have for spinning up our AWS resources. I feel like we should have a list of chapters. So the idea is like in this app, you can create a book and every book would have chapters in it. So I kind of wonder if I should have like a list of chapters with titles here. Yeah, let me go back and add a to-do so I don't forget. Ability to add chapters book. As a user, I should be able to add new chapters to a book I'm trying to write. How would I do chapters? How would I do chapters? So first of all, let's go to the schema. And I feel like a book should have chapters. And I'll keep the user ID attached to the chapter. I'll keep a UID for the ID. But I'm also going to add a book ID here. So I'm going to add book ID, references books on delete cascade. That's cool. And then here we have the title of the chapter. And then we could have the actual text. Content? Yes, let's call it content. Double check ID, user ID, book ID. And let's call that chapter. All right, so we just added a new table to our schema. Let's go over here, npm run db push. That should apply. And it crashed. Crashing. I will say there's some stuff about Prisma I miss. I feel like the migration path was much better in Prisma than it was in Drizzle. Key columns, book ID, and ID are incompatible types, text, and UID. I mean, this is probably just a me issue, honestly. So I shouldn't be blaming Drizzle for anything. Is because that's a UID. Hold on. That's a UID, which means this needs to be a UID. User ID is some random piece of text. Let's try running that. You need to specify using book ID UUID. The column book ID cannot be cast automatically to the type UID. So I think what happened is the first migration failed, and so it probably created. Here's another thing I don't like about Drizzle is that they have Drizzle Studio. When you run a migration, you have to stop it, restart it. That sucks. I mean, Prisma had that same issue, so I shouldn't complain too much about that. And now you'll see book shows up, or sorry, chapter shows up, but there's no way to like run a SQL statement to delete this. I just want to drop the table and recreate it. And I don't think I can do that. Delete table. And then I want to delete chapter. Syntax error at or near table. Or is it drop table? Anyway, so I can't use the studio to do that. So now I have to go over here and find where I had one. Postgres SQL Explorer. All right, here we go. So I need to go to, oh, it did delete it. Okay, so it deleted it, but for some reason it's still showing up here because again, I have to go and like restart studio. Oh, it's still there. Am I crazy? It's probably because I need to go here and refresh. Then I have to do a new query. Drop table chapter. Or is it delete? Where's drop table? Run query. Okay, I think that dropped it. Of course, I have to manually refresh this because writing software that automatically refreshes is hard to do. Probably restart Drizzle Studio. Sorry, I should stop complaining. I'm trying to not complain as much. Let's try rerunning this migration. Changes applied. And it's working now. We have a chapters. Yeah, so the idea was I wanted to, instead of like having previous chapter, next chapter, I might do something similar to that add book component. Create book button. I'm going to copy this whole thing and I'm going to put that in components. And we'll call it create chapter. And that. Actually, hold on. Let's figure out what I need to do here. Yeah, I probably should just install a database editor. It's nice using things that are built in the VS Code though. But yeah, you're right. I'm just making myself worse by doing that. What database editor would you recommend? Table Plus, Data Grip, Data Grip. We got 2 for Data Grip, 1 for Data Plus or Table Plus. Create a chapter. I think this thing needs a book ID though, so I'm going to go ahead and just give it a book ID. Like this. Add chapter. I don't think we need a description here, so I'm going to get rid of the description field. That. Is there a specific reason why you're keeping the user ID on the chapter? Yeah, so when people want to delete their account and what you want to wipe out all their data, you know what? I don't have a reason. I'm using Postgres, so it's going to delete Cascade and do that for me. So yeah, there's not really a good reason to do that. Unless it's for like authorization reasons. Like if a user tries to do an action to edit a chapter or delete a chapter, I'd have to then look up, okay, what book does the chapter belong to? And then look up, okay, what user does this book belong to? So it like just adds a little bit of extra querying for authorization, I believe. But yeah, I could probably just get rid of it if you guys think that's a better idea. I'm going to rename this to actions because I'm going to store multiple actions in here and that. Could probably abstract this to a helper function, like an authentication helper. Add chapter book use case, and we want to that. I could make this a chapters file. I might just keep it here though. Just do this and get the book. insert into chapters. We want to add the values of book ID, title, probably need user ID, don't we? Now, anyone who uses Drizzle, help me out here. So basically, I want to returning everything. And I have to like do this. It just feels kind of gross. I have to like do the 0th index here. I might wrap this into an object. I'll call it chapter, new chapter. I'm going to go ahead and just do this. Structure it. Yeah, that works too. Yeah, that's one thing I'm like starting to see as I'm using Drizzle. It's like I kind of miss Prisma. Because it's like, why? Why is there not like that? Just give me the first. Why do you not have a helper function that just does this for me? But it's whatever. So add chapter to book use case. What that needs to do is get the book. You got to make sure that the person trying to do this has access to the book. Yeah, this whole stuff. I need to like write some utility helpers here, but whatever. Ain't no one going to use this app anyway. So await. Add chapter to the book. All of that stuff. Import that. And I may also refactor this to be new chapter. Do I even, yeah, I do need to get the book. All right, now what I need to do is let Copilot write all the code for me. So I'm okay with keeping those as 2 separate props, I guess. It's fine. But now when we call this action, which create chapter button, I think before I was calling create book action. Let's call that application function. Why is this? Book ID title. Is it because it needs an object? Hold on. I claim I'm going to quit Next.js every month or so. Just me venting my frustrations. I'm not actually going to quit Next.js. Are you kidding me? You think I'm going to switch to Remix or something? So after we create the chapter, honestly, we don't need to go anywhere. We just need to close the modal. Title is not for book ID. I need the book ID, which comes in somewhere here. And that's just structured. So I should be able to say book ID and then also values. That should make that happy. We should get back the chapter here, which honestly, we don't need to do anything. I could do a toast. Yeah, chap. Chapter created. Your new chapter has been created. Yeah, I mean, I tried using Remix, and like the idea that there's only like one top level action, and inside the action you have to like write your own if statements and switch statements to figure out what form did the post, and then you have to like hide hidden fields inside your form to know what type of post request was happening. It just felt like I was getting back to like JavaScript coding of like normal, like old school HTML, and I just didn't like it. I like Next.js's server actions. This is the one thing I really like about Next.js. I think it does make the user experience, or sorry, the developer experience a lot better. There's a lot of stuff around that though that I just don't like. If my computer wouldn't struggle so hard to just stream and code. Chapter created. There's a chapter. So now we just need to like display it. I thought I made a chapters. Maybe I didn't. Let's just do a chapters panel real quick. This over here. Let's import this book ID. Book. I set that correctly. Yes, I did not auto import that. Do that. Yeah, my M1's actually kind of warm right now, and that's why my streaming starts to slow down because it like starts throttling. I think there's some authentic authorization I need to add to these that I've been kind of forgetting about. But go here. Did Copilot just get that right? Database query chat time anywhere. I don't feel like that's correct, but it might be. Is Super Maven like a new Copilot? Keep hearing about it. computer do this? Chapters has implicit type any. Am I not returning correctly from here? Probably not. I'm not. I didn't finish this method. You know how it builds up the context? I mean, I read from Copilot, it like looks at your open tabs and it figures out, it like uses the code from your open tabs for your context window. But I don't know if that actually does that because I've found that it seems like it sucks. I'm wondering what Super Maven does that's a little bit different. I would love it if whatever VS Code AI system I have, I could just like get a bunch of snippets of like, this is how a query looks like, describe the code, paste it in, and then automatically just have that context automatically just like pasted when it tries to give me code suggestions. Instead of it trying to be smart and like trying to figure out like what I want, I rather just feed it like this is like what a repo class might look like for all the CRUD methods. Get chapters from book, use case, book ID. Something is crashing. Something is not a function. What am I calling? Chapters for book, case. I'm exporting it. Calling this. I'm returning the chapters. Something is crashing. When in doubt, restart Next.js. How about that? Sometimes it works. Yeah, I think I actually have cursor on my... I have cursor. I played around with it. I'm just not impressed with most of these AI tools, honestly. Like, I think they do give you an edge and help you like write code a little bit faster, but I just expect more. I'm gonna pay like $10 a month. I expect... What am I doing? Why is this open? There it is. So last thing I'm missing is I have to, in the action, revalidate path. Here we go. Selection. And we should probably revalidate the book ID, right? Add chapter to book. Yes. Where's my book? Chapter book ID. I forgot how you do revalidate path with like a slug. Is this how you do it? Or do I actually need to put like... Feels weird. No, I mean, YouTube does... I get paid from YouTube. And I get money from sponsored videos, but it's not like my full-time job. So I'm not making my living from YouTube. Here we go. I guess this is how you do it. I call that coding with faith. You just try something and when it works, you don't need to go to the docs. Now the chapters do look bad though. So like chapters panel. We should style this a little bit. I just want a list, right? So I could convert this potentially to like an unordered list. And at some point I want to add in like drag and drop so I can reorder the chapters maybe. But go over here, last name. We'll give this a flex call. border, gray 50, rounded. Let's see how this looks. All the way over here for some reason. Add chapter. Okay, so first of all, I want this create chapter button to be on the right. Let's move it down. And then I want this flex grow. Is that how you do it? Okay. I want this gap of 12. Some of the stuff I added to the wrong thing. I added this. I wanted to add it here. Last name, border white. Rounded. There's your chapters. They're draggable. I might do this. I might say chapter. No, I'll do index here. Dx. IDX plus 1. Chapter 1. And here is your title, which, if I remember in high school, I'm supposed to like italicize a title or something. Now, if I only name those better. Battle of JavaScript. Your chapter. It's coming along. Not the best. I go back and haven't seen Twitch. M1 Air. Yeah, I'm on M1 Air. What's up, Dev? Welcome. I don't know if you're still here though, but welcome. Why did I stop using Prisma? Because it didn't really have the best support on serverless deployments. But I think they fixed that by now, but I've already switched over to Drizzle, so. Brazil mentioned. What is up? How's your job searching going? If you don't mind me asking. If you do mind me asking, then I wish you luck. Yeah, I've tried source graph Cody as well. Again, I got mediocre results. Coolify, I think Coolify is pretty cool. I was actually thinking about renting a VPS and just like playing more around with it. Instead of using like DigitalOcean, I was gonna get like a Hertzener. How do you pronounce that? Heisener? Anyway, but then they like needed me to like verify my ID and like send in my passport photos, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna send my identification to some random Germany company. Some random company in Germany, even though they are like well known. You can do both collection slug or the literal path. Yeah, I'd probably do the literal path because it's only being changed on that specific book, I think. You can use layout to revalidate the child routes, I think. You should be making 40K a month minimum. I wish. It's like a fine line because like you don't want to do too many sponsored videos because then your channel just becomes like a giant sponsored video channel. But at the same time, I feel like everyone's YouTube channel is time boxed. And at some point people will stop watching me and they'll move on to someone else. I was like, I gotta ride my my current successes, try to make money off it while I can. Because I've seen people with millions of subscribers and they get like 2,000 views on videos now. Like what's that guy's name? If I don't want to name anybody, but I've seen some big channels that just like their view count just like is abysmal now. And I don't know if it's because of the content they're making or like people just get tired of seeing their channel and so like they just don't watch their stuff. But I feel like the YouTube algorithm can just like drop you off whenever it wants to. Yeah, I'm using Tailwind CSS. Are you ever not going to use Next.js? I don't know. I still feel like it's like the largest ecosystem. I've tried Vue and I've tried Svelte. I've tried SvelteKit and Nuxt. I just can't stand the single file component approach to both of those. And so I go back to React and Next.js. I think Prisma could spread out to more. I'm not sure about that. What do you do for your current job? I work as a full stack engineer and doing some DevOps stuff as well. Still use Convex. Yeah, we are still using Convex for this other project that we work on, projectplannerai.com. Go check it out if you guys are interested. This started off as a simple project, and now it's turning into more like a project management tool, which I'm actually using for all my side projects. So, little plug. And you guys are welcome to give feedback. If you go up here and click on, there's like a feedback button that my head's hiding, but you can give us some feedback if you use this at all. At the very least, it's a really nice app that I can put on my resume. And we do have some users who are subscribed to it, so I'm excited about that. Yes, I haven't really tried Solid too much. I'm not sure if I like signals. I feel like they're more confusing. Because now like you have this like thing you can pass around, but sometimes you can't destructure it and stuff. I don't know much about it, so let me not talk about it. But I hear Solid is very, very fast. Okay. I might check out Hetzner again. Are all real people chatting? Yeah, pretty crazy. Very off topic. Any experience with Svelte? Company I work for is switching to Svelte from React and doing a rebuild. I've played around with Svelte. I personally like it. I think the code you write is much more concise. Same with Vue. I think Svelte and Vue are like really nice to work with in terms of comparing it to like React and React state management. I like the way that they use like references and just like you just modify variables in your components re-render versus like the immutable approach React took. I'm not a fan of it. But yeah, I think Svelte's good. Oh, I see what you mean, Top G. Yeah, I plan to work on a course soon. I just need to do it. I guess my heart is more in like I want to build like a real SaaS product versus I want to build courses. I feel like that's the path you end up taking with content creation and YouTube is like you end up having to sell something, and most people sell courses, and I rather like market SaaS products that I'm actually building because I get more reward from that. I get less money obviously, but I feel like it's more rewarding to know that people are actually using a service that you built. But that's a personal issue though, because I mean it's rewarding to know that you've taught a bunch of people how to code applications too. So sorry, I'm just like talking now. Snazzy Labs is turning into a sponsored video swamp. I don't think I watched Snazzy Labs. Some channels, literally every video you watch, it's like a sponsored video. You see in the top right, it says like sponsored by or whatever, or the top left. It's like, okay, spread it out a little bit. Every video you publish doesn't need to be sponsored. Like, make some just normal content. So I think, oh, in this comment, Joseph, I think there's a lot of benefits for using like a meta framework such as Next.js or Nuxt with the server-side rendering and the search engine optimization and stuff. And I think that's why, personally, I wouldn't go back to a single-page application. Even the router alone is enough to use Next.js. Like, I've built applications where I click back on the browser back button, and like the entire application takes you to some weird page that you wouldn't intuitively think it should have taken you to. Because like it's just harder to make the back button work properly in a single page application than it is with a real, like, I shouldn't say real, with a server-side rendered application. Have I tried Zed? Is that an editor? I've heard about that. I have not tried it. Have you tried Astro? I've tried Astro. Again, like I'm not. It's fun to learn new things, but at some point you have to have like a true north tech stack that you just always go back to, which is why like you see me make videos about Go and Rust, and I dabble in Vue and Vue and Svelte sometimes, but then I just go back to Next.js because if I have 5 projects and they're all written in different frameworks in different languages, realistically I can't context switch like that. So I'm just kind of all in on a certain stack, and I'm making sure every single side project uses that stack, so that after work, when I only have 30 minutes or an hour to work on something, I don't have to context switch at all. And that's what works for me. But yeah, that's a good thought. I mean, if I made a course, first of all, would you guys want to buy it? And secondly, what would the course need to be on? Because I don't even know my subscribers at this point. I don't know their skill level. Most of them say that they know how to code and they're like decent at coding. So it's like, what type of course would you find beneficial if you already know how to code full stack applications? Yeah, you can't really trust anything on Twitter. Are you like my only person on Twitch watching me right now? How do I even check? I have 7 viewers on Twitch. I mean, if you're the only person commenting on Twitch, it'd make it easier. But I might actually wrap up this stream soon anyway. I've been going for like an hour and 40 minutes. Can I see your unit tests? Oh, you're funny. I do plan on adding tests to this because it is supposed to be like a SaaS launch kit, and I do want to add playwright testing, and I do want to add some type of Vitest testing over it, just so that when you like start up your project, you do also see how you could potentially test your project. But we'll see if I actually get to that. Front-end frameworks is choosing your starter Pokemon. Starter Pokemon, yeah. Yeah, this video should be published. Usually it takes like a couple hours for it to like be visible, but when the stream ends, it'll be published. What framework do you use to create endpoints? I mean, I'm using server actions, so I don't even have to create endpoints, but I would just use the built-in API that Next.js provides. Just because it's just easier to have everything in one location. I'm struggling to get that true north tech stack. Currently, I'm using a React router, implementing the features of V6 like loaders, but the type safety is terrible. I found the same issues with Remix. Yeah, I think that's a good indicator if you found a good true north tech stack, is the type safety should be really good. And even the type safety with Next.js, I mean, like, there's some stuff that's missing. Like, I kind of wish this would tell you like what your properties are on your pages. I'm sure there's a way to type this. Like, is there a way to say like next page or something? Because like right now, I don't know what this stuff is. I have to go and like refresh my memory about like what params are, what are query params, what are search params. I feel like Next.js could use a little help with some type safety when it comes to the routes too. Top G. Top G trying to get me rich, huh? It'd be like 40K the first month, and then the next month would be like 4,000. I've seen how, like, when you launch a course or a product, you have to spend a lot of time hyping it up and marketing it, getting that newsletter going, reminding people that it's going to launch at a certain date. And then the day it launches is when you make all your money. And then every day following that, it just like exponentially drops off. But if I make a course, I'll let you guys know how it does. Course on AWS? Oh, God. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to do that. I know Adam says he's making a course on AWS. I feel like I just know like enough of AWS to be dangerous, but not enough to like make a course on it. And I don't have enough drive to really become like a, what do they call those AWS people? Those AWS heroes? I don't have enough drive to like get certificates and become like a real AWS hero. I'm not that interested in it. But I'm sure I could make us some money. Do you think it is logical that I use Vercel for dev and VPS for production? Is it a reasonable approach for saving costs? I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much Vercel charges, like on a low bandwidth app, probably not that much. I just got scarred from that DDoS attack, so now I just moved everything to a VPS and put behind Cloudflare because I think it's just safer. But if you can get guarantees that Vercel will refund you on a DDoS attack, and you don't have like a $5,000 bill due to bandwidth, I think Vercel's fine. I'm just weary about serverless or pay per use services now after that attack. But again, since I'm on YouTube, I'm a bigger target. I probably said something that made someone mad. Like I talked poorly about Next.js caching, and someone's like, "Oh, we'll show you," and then they just probably did their thing. You make a course on how to make a course. Could you make a course for DevOps related stuff? Terraform, K8s. I definitely couldn't make one on K8s because I don't use that in production. What do teams actually look for when asking for X years of experience in AWS? I don't think people really know. These recruiters and people who make these job descriptions literally just put random stuff and hope people apply. Like I think at a position in our job, we said experience with Elasticsearch. Literally no one knows how to use Elasticsearch. Like out of all the people we've interviewed, not a single person knows Elasticsearch. So I don't know what they're really looking for. I think someone just who's not intimidated by the AWS dashboard and can like at least explain some of the services there, like Lambdas, SQS, SNS, SES, API gateways, Route 53, CloudFront, that type of stuff. All right, I've been streaming for 1 hour and 47 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow. Maybe I won't. But if I do, it'll be in the morning, 9-10 a.m. Eastern. So, yeah. Join my Discord.